Picture this. Dawn breaks over the quiet Missouri countryside, and suddenly bulldozers roar to life, tearing through an 80-year-old family cornfield. Golden stalks snap like brittle bones under steel tracks, all because a smug HOA president decided your land was the perfect spot for a shiny new parking lot. No permission asked, no compensation offered, just pure, unfiltered entitlement. I'm Jeb Thornfield, and that nightmare became my reality last April. My heart pounded so hard my coffee mug shattered on the kitchen tile as I watched $47,000 worth of heirloom corn, varieties that had survived the Great Depression, World War II, and every economic crash since, pulverized into dust. The acrid diesel fog choked the crisp morning air, a stench that still haunts me. But that power-tripping suburban tyrant overlooked one fatal flaw buried deep in her own HOA charter. A $3.1 million legal landmine waiting to explode. I stayed quiet. For 6 long months, I let her plan, scheme, and celebrate. I smiled as she popped champagne and snipped the ribbon on what she thought was her ultimate victory. Then I detonated the trap. Federal papers, ironclad evidence, and the full weight of the law locked her away and turned the tables completely, making me richer beyond my wildest dreams while she faced prison time. What would you do if someone tried to steal your family's legacy? Drop your location below. I'm tracking HOA nightmares nationwide. My story goes back 3 generations. My grandfather, Ezra Thornfield, cleared 47 acres of rich bottomland with nothing but an axe, a mule, and unbreakable stubbornness. He planted heritage corn that outlasted dust bowls, floods, and every disaster America could throw at it. When he passed in '89, my father took over. 15 years later, it became mine. The farm sits like an island between County Road 47 and what used to be the old Peterson place, until developers from Kansas City bought it 5 years ago and crammed 200 McMansions on a prime farmland, calling it Willowbrook Estates. They brought pristine sidewalks, matching mailboxes, and an HOA rulebook thicker than War and Peace. Property values soared, sure, but so did my taxes, tripling in 5 years. Suddenly, I was paying city-level rates on land that had fed families since Truman was president. Then came Cordelia Ashworth Patton, age 47, HOA president and my personal nightmare. She moved here from Connecticut's suburbs, where lawns get measured with rulers and Christmas lights have court-mandated removal dates. She drove a spotless white BMW X7, dressed like she was always headed to non-existent yacht club meetings, and started small. Noise complaints about my rooster at 5:30 a.m., lawsuits claiming my 40-year-old tractor devalued her view, even hiring a photographer to document my unsightly equipment. She escalated to petition drives to rezone my agricultural land, calling farm machinery a safety hazard on roads that existed long before her grandparents were born. While I was at my wife Martha's memorial service, surrounded by 300 people whose lives she'd touched, Cordelia presented her traffic solution to the county board with PowerPoint slides showing my front acreage as an used buffer space ideal for visitor parking. She claimed Willowbrook needed overflow for emergency vehicles. The audacity still makes my blood boil. I came home to bright orange survey stakes piercing my corn like neon tombstones, cutting 200 feet into my field. A certified letter arrived claiming boundary disputes, backed by conveniently water-damaged 1950s deed. I drove to the courthouse basement, smelling of old paper and bureaucracy, and found my 1943 deed crystal clear. Every stake was firmly on Thornfield land. I confronted her at her perfect suburban door. Manicured lawn, topiary bushes, blessed doormat. She answered in tennis whites, despite never playing, patted my shoulder like a child, and said, "Oh, sweetie, these old documents have irregularities. My husband's firm specializes in this. Fighting will bankrupt you. Better to accept reality." The threat was clear: surrender or face endless litigation. But I remember the law. Challengers bear the burden of proof. She had neither, just money and arrogance. I went public. The local Gazette ran "Suburban Bully Targets Grieving Farmer," with photos of stakes slicing through corn. The county erupted in support, 213 comments, 96% for me. Restaurants, schools, strangers offered help. Cordelia fired back with a letter full of irregardless, earning a hilarious public correction for a retired English teacher. But she escalated again, an emergency rezoning petition claiming my farm violated residential character. If passed, my taxes would quadruple to $11,200 yearly, plus $47,000 in retroactive back taxes within 30 days, forcing a sale to pay for land I'd owned forever. This wasn't zoning, it was financial execution. At the hearing, I showed up in work boots and flannel. Cordelia arrived with glossy folders, aerial photos, traffic studies, and a delegation of HOA residents. She called my tractor visual pollution, but 87-year-old Mrs. Delilah Brewster rose like an avenging angel. I've lived here 63 years and never seen such shameless land grabbing. This farm fed us, preserved heritage, while her development brought traffic and unaffordable taxes. The room exploded. Her speech went viral. Local support poured in, but Cordelia hired a fancy Kansas City attorney who got ticketed for parking in a handicapped spot by our police chief, a regular corn buyer. Then came the real blow, an emergency access road permit for a 40-foot corridor straight through my field. During Christmas week when staff was away, bulldozers arrived at dawn, destroying corn for a road nobody needed. The foreman showed me permits with forged signatures and wrong property numbers. This was fraud. I recorded everything, called Channel 7's investigative team. Reporter Sarah Martinez captured the destruction live. The story exploded. HOA bulldozers target grieving farmers' heritage crops. Work halted pending review. Cordelia held a press conference blaming anti-development propaganda and threatening to sue the station. Half my crop lay ruined. Fees ate my savings. But late one night by Martha's 200-year-old oak, I decided, no more defense. Time to swing back. The breakthrough came from Harold Puckett, a 73-year-old records clerk. While digging for plats, he uncovered the original Willowbrook Development Agreement, a mandatory 200-foot agricultural buffer between the subdivision and existing farms. Violation triggered $2.3 million penalties plus restoration, totaling $3.1 million. Cordelia had breached it from day one with every stake and permit. He also revealed HOA debt from her vanity projects, $1.8 million, secret $500,000 payments from developers for the buffer land, and conflicts of interest everywhere. She was bankrupting the HOA, then engineering a land grab to bail it out via a $3.2 million shopping center deal, using my farm as collateral. With lawyer Janet Morrison, we built an airtight case, trail cameras, surveys, audits, allies mobilized. Mrs. Brewster as coordinator, Marcus the journalist for media pressure, Farmers Association for funds. We documented violations, waited for her timeline to tighten, and planned to trigger penalties at maximum pain. Cordelia grew desperate. Sugar my tractor fuel, anonymous threats, slash tires on allies' cars, surprise inspections on supporters. Her husband offered $2.1 million to buy me out, while I secretly recorded every word of intimidation and conspiracy. She forged more documents, worked nights to destroy the buffer, even chainsawed Martha's oak. That triggered federal environmental crimes. The climax hit March 15th. My press conference at the courthouse drew crowds. I announced the $3.1 million claim. EPA agents arrived with warrants for fraud, racketeering, environmental violations. At the HOA meeting, board member Derek exposed embezzlement. Sheriff and feds arrested Cordelia and her husband mid-speech. She got 18 months in federal prison plus $2.1 million restitution. Her husband lost his license. The developer paid $5.7 million fines. The HOA reformed under Derek. Fees dropped. Transparency returned. The penalty funded the Martha Thornfield Agricultural Heritage Scholarship, $50,000 yearly for farming students. We restored the buffer, replanted heritage corn, planted a new oak. The community healed, joint harvest festivals, neighbors respecting each other. This became a national model for protecting farms. I testified in Congress, spoke nationwide. Knowledge plus community beats money and connections every time. If this tale of justice fired you up, like, subscribe, and share your worst HOA nightmare below. I read them all. More drama coming soon. Knowledge is power, and together we're unstoppable. Tractor collision.